Punctuality is a trap. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to be on time. Being on time is basically necessary to coordinate with other people, and if you know you're going to be late, then it's polite to give the person a heads up so that they can potentially adjust their plans. And of course, if lateness is going to cause actual material damage, that's one thing. But the idea that we should be exactly on time for every occasion or else we're being disrespectful or shameful or hurtful is, in my opinion, a little ridiculous. Hey, it's your girl Asante, helping you move consciously and creatively through life, so let's go. Norms around timeliness and scheduling vary across cultures, so in this video I'm talking about how things are here in the United States. And specifically what I'm talking about with this is something I'll call negligible lateness. It's a situation where the lateness is not extreme. I'm not talking about being an hour late. And it's lateness where there are pretty low stakes. I'm not talking about days where you're giving a presentation or you're performing. Obviously, those are situations where you have a lot of responsibility and you should be arriving early. I'm talking about being 10 minutes late for a lunch date with a friend, coming in 3 minutes after the hour for a routine work meeting, logging onto the Zoom call 2 minutes after the designated start time, sliding into the back of the classroom or workshop a few minutes after it's begun. Things that sure are a bit annoying, but are merely an inconvenience and don't actually cause harm. Being late happens, we know this. Plans don't go as expected, things take longer than we thought, we get stuck in traffic, we miss trains, we are imperfect and human. And yet there's a lot of shaming and passing judgment on people for things that are human. In the US in particular, there's a strong expectation that you will be exactly on time to any given appointment. There is one way to navigate through your day and manage your time, and that is to be exactly punctual. And when someone isn't able to fit into the assigned box or the social standard preferred by the dominant culture, we often blame and shame the individual as opposed to questioning the social norm. Why doesn't the norm accommodate the full spectrum of humanity? And so we judge and blame and subtly shame the negligibly late person as opposed to saying that it's bad planning for the facilitator not to have any grace time built into the schedule. If every single minute counts, literally, for your team at work to be able to accomplish its goal, or for you to be able to teach a subject in the class, or for you to be able to carry out your social life, then you're probably overscheduled, and that's a management problem. Now, capital, i.e. revenue generating entities, would love for us to be exactly prompt for its appointments so that it can wring as many hours of productivity out of us as possible. The Second Industrial Revolution caused a mechanization of society with human activity optimized and scheduled to produce the most output. We became regulated by the clock rather than by the sun. We ate lunch when the boss said it was lunchtime rather than when we naturally felt hungry. We were essentially being turned into robots. But we all have different bodies and body clocks and circadian rhythms and natural sleep schedules. If we were to truly allow for human flourishing, then our lives shouldn't need to align exactly on the dot. We're all imperfect creatures with complex lives and other things going on, so okay, our availability doesn't coincide down to the minute. Instead of expecting our availability to exactly align, why not start the meeting with an activity that could be done while people trickle in? If you're meeting someone for a one-on-one appointment, bring a book or something you can do while you wait. Of course, you should still try not to be late, but if you have a mindset of being flexible, you've built buffer time into your schedule, and you've come prepared with something to occupy yourself if the other party is late, then it's not that much of an inconvenience. There are two ways that I feel like dominant culture schedules are disrespectful to my humanity. No, look, let me be on this soapbox right now, okay? Just let me have this. First are first thing in the morning meetings. Companies love having an early morning meeting right when everyone gets in. However, about 30% of people are night owls. That comes from Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep. I mentioned this in my video about fixing my own sleep schedule, but as a night owl, your body has a biologically different way of operating. Your brain is not alert in the morning, and your prefrontal cortex, which controls high-level reasoning and emotional regulation, is in a disabled offline state until it gets warmed up, which is later in the afternoon. So it's not that night owls are lazy or aren't trying hard enough to wake up on time, it's that our bodies don't work the same way that early risers do. When you force night owls into the social standard of starting work in the morning, you're pushing them to work at their lowest energy, and you're pushing them to become chronically sleep deprived, and chronic sleep deprivation comes with a whole host of other issues, including feeling generally miserable. I know that's how I felt trying to keep up with company schedules at my previous day jobs. So if you're going to force me to work against my body's chronotype and show up at your 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. meeting and expect me not to be a zombie because my brain is half asleep, then the least you could do is not give me the side eye when I slide in at 3 minutes after the hour. Give people grace. And especially if it's Monday, you know the weekend is too short. I was up late last night because I was trying to cram my entire personal life into 2 days. Side note, I'm very glad to see companies starting to move to a 4-day work week. Long overdue. And being able to work remotely and asynchronously helps with this as well. Honestly, I think we could take cues from a lot of Black and brown cultures where showing up exactly on time or early to a function is considered rude. It doesn't give the host any grace time. If you show up on the dot, I might not be answering that doorbell right away because I gotta go put some clothes on. Why are you here? I think it's so funny that in college we would have Black student functions and the African American students were always the first ones to arrive. We walk in the room and there are no decorations, nothing is set up, and it's hosted by the Nigerian students, and they're like, why are you here? And we're like, it's 30 minutes after we're early? Now, I don't necessarily think we need to go that far with it. An hour is not negligible lateness, but the principle still stands: give people grace time. The second aspect of dominant culture that is downright disrespectful is how we schedule schooling. So being a night owl is strongly determined by your genetics, meaning that if you're a night owl, it's likely that your parents are also night owls, and both of mine are. In my house, you would have thought that 12 a.m. was 12 p.m. What, bedtime? Us? Now? It's only midnight. So why are we forcing an entire family of night owls with multiple children to drop off to be done with their morning routine by 7:25 a.m.? That's the time that the bell rang for the beginning of high school. I die. And needless to say, mornings were not a fun time in the Bean household. And I was quite frequently late, usually negligible lateness, a few minutes behind the bell, but it didn't affect my performance and I was a straight A student. And yet, I was given in-school suspension on multiple occasions because I was late. In-school suspension is when it's during the school day and they take you out of class and sit you in a room with other suspended students doing nothing, wasting my time. So they're upset that I missed the first 5 minutes of class, so as a punishment, they're gonna pull me out so I miss the entire class? Make it make sense. And it was just annoying because being pulled out of class put me way more behind than I ever would have been being negligibly late. So they're putting the value of punctuality over actually learning, the main point of being in school. So we have a system saying, you do not conform to the standard schedule, you need to be punished. Rather than saying, well, maybe it's not reasonable to expect kids and their parents to wake up literally before the crack of dawn to get to school at this ungodly hour. Rather than saying, this is a brilliant student who's pulling straight A's at the top of her class, but can't seem to get to school on time. How could we support her? Or even saying, maybe her getting to school exactly on time isn't that big of a deal because it isn't hindering her ability to learn. That is how punctuality is a trap. It has you focused on the exactness of the timing rather than the excellence of the results. It has you focused on conforming to a rigid system for the sake of control rather than supporting the variety and diversity in human experience and acknowledging the inherently unpredictable and fluid nature of life. Oh, she's fired up. She's fired up. We should be free to live less strictly structured lives. And I touched on this in my video on anti-fragility, but our proclivity to make strict schedules only leaves us more vulnerable when things inevitably don't go as planned. What if we structured life and work in a way that gave people freedom to craft their own schedules? Most of us don't work in a factory anymore. There's no need for us to be treated like cogs in a machine. And just like we shouldn't need to apologize for taking up space, we should need to apologize for taking a little extra time we need to do our best. My solution has been to work for myself, to work with organizations that respect my ability to work asynchronously on my own initiative and not need to be monitored, and to work with organizations that respect remote work. Again, if it's a day where I have a large amount of responsibility with something that starts in the morning, that's something that I plan for in advance and agree to in advance so that I'm ready for it. But otherwise, I can structure my days in a way that fits with my body type. And instead of feeling apologetic for running late in the mornings, I can just avoid mornings altogether and realize that if there's an opportunity that would require me to be alert and awake and enthusiastic first thing in the morning consistently, then it's not a good fit. It's an opportunity for morning larks, and I'm not one of them. Framing opportunities and relationships as good fit versus not a good fit makes it about compatibility rather than morality. No one is good or bad because the timing isn't working out. it's just not a good fit, and I don't have to feel sorry about anything. If you liked this video, then you might also like the video that I did on the concept of being anti-fragile. It definitely applies to scheduling. I'll link to that here. Over on Patreon, I'll be talking about how I schedule my own time when it comes to working for myself and working for clients. It's actually quite easy for me to be punctual when I'm working on my own terms. And if you want to support my work, you can share this video with a friend, sign up for my email newsletter, or support my work on Patreon. As always, remember to live spiritedly and think creatively, and I will see you next time.